Hi everybody and welcome back to the Quake Pro League, where ZSX and myself are about to run you through our third match of the day. Strongsage against VengeurR, the one and only. Now, there's so much to talk about with Strongsage. I think he's such a talking point in the scene and I get real sort of rising star vibes from Strongsage just because of how new Strongsage is to Quake Champions relative to many a pro player in the scene, compared with just how strong he's become in a short space of time. But also brings a unique element, a real, feels to me like just love for specific champions. And I don't know whether that is because of his previous gaming background before Quake. I know Quake was not his first taste in the competitive gaming world, but this guy loves to play certain champions and brings with those champions a certain style, right? And I think the big one is Clutch. And we're going to spoil the pick and ban already. Again, it's Clutch first match. You said it, Dan. He just picks it. Doesn't care what the map is. Doesn't care who the opponent is. Wow. It's Clutch straight away. And I like that.
Yeah, he couldn't care less what map it is or who he's playing. He's picking it if it's on the board. And what's really interesting to see is you just saw it on the scoreboard there. You know, first season in, he's played all the big boys and he hasn't gone a 3-0 sweep just yet. He hasn't let that happen. So that's full credit to him. We were going to question, you know, did he have the mentality effectively to play at this level? And boy, does he. Because not only has he not had that rollover, but he actually could have taken these series another way. With a little bit more of experience, he could have flipped those series to become 2-1s in his favor any other day of the week, and he did so last week against Razy. So he's got all of the ingredients, and what is really interesting, he just plays his way. He picks the champions he likes, he plays the style he likes, and it's aggressive, it's fast, and it's just raw, pure Quake. So he's enjoyable to watch as well, and he picks up maps. Nobody likes playing him. So that's where you want to be.
And on the opposite end of that, we have someone like VengeurR, who needs no introduction. Everyone around the world knows what VengeurR is capable of. This is the kind of series where I think there's just a lot of eyes on Strongsage. We know that VengeurR is one of the best in this game. We know that VengeurR is absolute champion material. We know that VengeurR has a deep understanding of every map, every champion, at this point, every opponent. Strongsage is where things get a bit different though. When someone, excuse me, is a bit newer to competition, and it's so strange to even describe it as newer to competition in this game. It's just extremely uncommon that we see new blood, let alone in a Quake game, let alone 5 or so years later. You know, we're just not used to seeing that. And Strongsage has been able to really defy those odds and cement himself as a strong competitor in the Pro League in his own way. And that is an element of surprise that I think can really give you an upper hand here, because so many players here, they're used to fighting everyone. They've played against each other countless times, especially now in the format that Pro League now follows, where everyone fights everyone. You know, they're no longer split up by regions and stuff like that. So there's an even higher chance that Strongsage gets to face off against these people in his own way and just brings something that I don't know what it is, but it just not necessarily unknown. I'm trying to find a word for it, but it's great. Picks and bans already, so maybe that'll even be exaggerated by that. We'll find out. But it's just something that makes him such a talking point. And there we go, Clutch. And then on the Deep Embrace, the Scale Bearer. And then Corrupted Keybits BJ. Now, these are very comfortable picks for Strongsage at this point.
These picks are nuts. These picks are just nuts. Like, nobody else in the QPL is really playing heavies, and then Strongsage goes out and picks 2 of them. VengeurR's looking at Vale. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen that matchup. He's strong against the Clutch on Vale. Is not something I have heard myself say before. So VengeurR obviously knew the Clutch was coming, and that's why he's picked a more unusual champion like the Strog, which gives him a little bit extra stack. It gives him that Pika and also gives him the speed. I have no idea how Strongsage plans to play the Clutch on Vale, but we've seen him pull it off on every map he's picked it up so far. He understands the strengths, limitations, and the boundaries of the champion, and that's perfect. He will know how to play it. So let's see how he wants to. Obviously, it's got more utility than just being big and strong. It's extremely quick, and he plays extremely well around that and the rail as well. So yeah, Venger's going to be tough there. Corrupted Keep, as we say, BJ vs Galena, pretty much standard. We know what's going to come out. But then Deep Embrace, the keel against the Athena. Sorry, not the keel. It's the Scalebearer against the Athena. It's just bizarre. Scalebearer is a difficult champion to play on Deep. It's a clunky map in terms of movement, and the Scalebearer then amplifies that. And obviously, the Athena has all of the utility to be able to control that mid ground and just to abuse that the limitations in terms of maneuverability of the Scalebearer. But at the end of the day, Scalebearer is just a tank. So I'm not really sure what to expect on that side of things either. One would assume the Athena should have an easier time, but if you start connecting with multiple rails, then that just flips everything on its head.
The number one thing that I think gets challenged with Strongsage, the way that he chooses to play the game, which is almost an element of why it's surprising, is execution. You have to execute. The way Strongsage plays with the champions he uses, you can't miss anything, because if you miss stuff, you're a sitting duck, because Strongsage likes these heavy champions in a meta where they're not as common, against players who now are better than they've ever been. Look at how many players in the Pro League being able to just hit shots like it ain't nothing. Like that's a standard. You have to be able to do that. There aren't any players in the Pro League that, oh yeah, they struggle to hit this or they struggle to hit that. At such a level where they can hit anything. You're picking these heavy champions where you have to match that as well. You have to match that accuracy while at the same time flying around as a fridge or this big guy that can trip over his own shoelaces against someone like Athena. It's just a strange time in the game's life to favor a style this demanding, but also be pretty damn successful at it. And I think no greater example is getting shown here. By the way, both players have readied up, so we'll be in Vale momentarily. Clutch on this map is horrible. You get stuck once and you're dead. You get caught on one thing, you're dead. You can't escape. So I don't think anything's going to be as much of an execution test in this whole series as this map for Strongsage. And then he has to, you know, hit his shots, time his items, all the classic stuff. I'm excited to see it.
I think that's also partly why it was picked up first, because Wenger knew that was the clutch was going to come out. So picking up that map first allows that to happen. So I know it's going to be really interesting. As I said, I don't think I've seen this particular matchup on this map, and so I'm intrigued to see how Strongsage can play it. I think maybe we've seen Razy, or maybe even it was Sib play it once, but I don't believe it ended very well. So it's going to be a brawl from start to finish, and that favors Strongsage. I think the key in terms of game plan throughout this whole series for me, for Wenger, is to just try and contain the game, almost allow Strongsage to press you, and we know how good Wenger can be on the defense, so he just has to manage that aggression from Strongsage, and I do think Wenger will pull this out, but definitely would not be surprised for Strongsage to take this to a 2-1, if not take it 2-1 himself.
I think I actually need to make a correction too, because I said a couple of weeks ago, I made the statement that, you know, Wenger used to playing from behind. I think I worded that really poorly. My whole train of thought around Wenger and his playstyle is that he's not afraid to play against the grain. He plays as if he's behind sometimes in the regards of kind of letting people take items or maybe take certain weapons or whatever the case may be, because he's so comfortable doing that and just being so slippery, especially with the right champion in hand, that it just makes Wenger such a unique case here. However, the hand has been forced, and the stack combined with the shield wall gives Strongsage that first frag, pushes forward and gets some rocket damage here. He is going to be able to pick up a few things around too, but yeah, it's scary first fight.
81% LG was not enough from Wenger apparently, with that shield out.
Wait, really? I'm going to check that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're right. 57 out of 70. Oh no, it's gone down now. It was 80 when I last checked. Another frag there from Strongsage, being able to once more cycle the smaller items, but a good spawn from VengeurR is going to allow him to lay that pressure on thick straight away. And this is that speed. Can he escape though? The emphasis on those instant dashes. Ooh. Lovely rail. Strongsage. It's just how quick he is able to play. It's thoroughly impressive.
Yeah, watching a good clutch player like Strongsage looks like the game is broken. It does not look like it should be possible half the time.
You look at it and just think, like, why is... you can imagine people watching this and thinking, why isn't everyone using this champion? He's really hard to play. Like, he is so punishing to make mistakes with.
What impresses me a lot about a player like Strongsage, given his inexperience, is it almost looks like you're watching a CPMA player. Like, his weapon switches are so quick and common. He's generally always got the white weapon out, and he does such a good job of prodding and probing his opponent. He pushes in quickly for a bit of damage and pulls out, and he finds a really neat balance of how much to commit at any one time. And it makes it incredibly difficult for his opponent because the speed he's playing at is such a high tempo. Look at Wenger just struggling to keep up with the tempo he's setting.
The only way VengeurR was even going to come close to surviving that, the second that initial damage was landed, was to know that Strongsage is going to just come flying around that corner, to know that he's going to have a super shotgun. And with that, thinking that far ahead, to drop down and, like, maybe not even try and challenge it. Like, how can you be 100% prepared for this? You have to be thinking so many leagues ahead.
Clutch breaks the mechanics of Quake if you could execute like this, but we know how vulnerable Clutch can be as well, so don't forget the downsides of the fridge. It's when it's pushed to the limit of efficiency like Strongsage, then it looks absurd, but it is very difficult to do this.
I love the fact that you just invented that term, the flying fridge. I've never not used it ever since. Oh!
Pretty apt, but another frag, 5-0. Oh.
And it just continues to cycle. Oh no, VengeurR, look out! He's right in front of you! VengeurR, get out of there! Get out of there! Oh, misses the opening rail. That would have been even more there for the Strongsage, who is looking rather unstoppable. The 100 damage rocket, but hang on a minute, misses 2 rails. This is what we were talking about, you know, the second you miss, it's a different story entirely. Major push is made. VengeurR looking for some rockets, unable to compete. Strongsage does take a lot of damage there, but who cares? And the Mega is just around the corner and Strongsage knows it. But there's still a chance for a comeback to be made. It's been played at 1,000,000 miles an hour here, but...
Oh, yeah.
I won't even hit the halfway point yet. All it takes is that one good opening for VengeurR to take full advantage. And it is extreme highs and extreme lows.
What am I watching? He's chasing VengeurR down with 36% health and a rocket launch. He's just locked onto his opponent. Uses to relent.
Love it, mate. Love it.
It's insane. A high school bully.
Now, in regards to the next item, it'll be a heavy. Looking a lot like VengeurR should be able to take that. And actually, Strongsage considerably early on this Mega, which I think no doubt is where... looking for VengeurR to use the teleporter and get that cheeky little rocket. Really the best he's going to do. If he hung around there, no doubt he would have gone down. Especially with no shield wall. The push made from VengeurR, and as is the chase. Is VengeurR going to turn around now and look for maybe a bit more? Strongsage's pathing. Been pretty impressive so far. Yeah, you just know you're going down there. Caught in no man's land, nowhere to escape. And yes, Strongsage did build up a good lead here, but this is when things can change.
Yeah, Strongsage needs to try and get an item at this point in the game. At the moment, he's doing a good job, but the strategy he's trying to employ at the moment is just bully my opponent and then worry about the items. And VengeurR's managed to adjust to that. Now he's picked up a couple of different rotations and is beginning to connect with shots that he just was not doing in the opening 3 or 4 minutes. So the momentum is radically shifted. What Strongsage is good at is just maximizing his damage output from that starting stack as well. So that's the sensitive time for VengeurR as well to try to keep his pressure up.
I like this choice from Strongsage. He's not directly making chase. He's still making his angles a bit unpredictable there. Even there, getting the bit of the rocket damage on VengeurR. Looking to push forward after the peak has been used, but without any damage to actually make it count, VengeurR is not going to care.
Now, missed timing from Strongsage there. You can see the thought process is use the shield, try and steal it away, because that would allow him to respawn even if he died and keep the pressure on. But It is a huge mistake to miss out on that because you lose your shield and the item to your opponent. And now look at the pressure from VengeurR as he closes the gap once more, 7-6.
The scary nature of Clutch is that he can look so unbelievably broken when he's working out, and then the moment things start to go wrong, you're brutally reminded of just how much of a risk this champion can be, even in the hands of someone like Strongsage, who's clearly one of the strongest Clutch players that we've ever seen. VengeurR with just such an understanding of the game, knowing that he just does not have to fear. If you don't have the damage to output here, I'm going to push, I'm going to make you uncomfortable, and I'm going to force you to take fights you don't want.
This next heavy is huge for Strongsage. He has to pressure it. No, he's late, mistiming. That was the only opportunity. He's got VengeurR low enough to really make a strong committal. And unfortunately, he was late. He's got the rail. VengeurR drops on down, but I think Strongsage has missed his opportunity, and that window closed in. He's done a lot of damage there, but he's missed out on the item again, and the aggression is a second too late. So all of that right decision making is now just failing because of the mistiming.
And sadly for Strongsage, not only did he miss out on the item, but while he was pushing forward straight off the spawn, he actually missed the rocket launcher, had to pick it up on the way back. So any chance of getting close range damage, nowhere near as likely. The starting shotgun, as good as it was going to get for him, and with 2 minutes on the clock, Strongsage still has a chance to take this map, but with how VengeurR has flipped it on its head.
Well, he's done what he wanted to do. He's bullied VengeurR off the map. He hadn't got an item for 4 minutes or so since then, but now he's back into it. Yes, he'll get a frag hit, but he's also taken way too much damage. So VengeurR do what Strongsage did. Spawn, pick the item up and do a bit of damage. That was unfortunate for Strongsage.
Massive delay between the two, which means that although Strongsage saw the heavy and wasn't able to do much about it, he cannot take the mega. So the next time a fight happens, it's likely that he's going to have to deal with a fully stacked out of the eyeballs VengeurR, and that will be the fight just to equalize. Now, Shield Wall is ready. He has rockets and LG, but this is possibly going to be the hardest fight that he's had so far in the entire map. VengeurR has complete advantage in regards to stack, and unfortunately missing that first rail. That was not what you wanted. Now wait, a little bit more damage. There are some lights downstairs near the rocket, so this is still possible, but there is no shield wall. So if a fight is taken, Strongsage knows there's no shot that's going to miss against me here. I have to hit everything, because if he misses, VengeurR will absolutely take it away.
But he has got time for the heavy as well. He doesn't need to chase. He's just going in for the rail. Perfect from Strongsage. He's isolating these light armors as well. So VengeurR is very much on the ropes here. All he has to do is try and find a choke point and stop the fridge from busting on through. Here he comes, rail for rail. Pika's up, but he knows he can't use it. Huge rockets of LG bouncing around. Who will connect? Pika comes out. He misses the Pika! He's too quick.
But he's so weak. He is so incredibly weak. And VengeurR is going to take that item because he is in a much better situation from the spawn. Strongsage has the shield, but I mean, surely in VengeurR's boots.
All the lights are gone because they were taken on the last round. So Strongsage, where's he going to go? He's gone. Ran the long way. He's got one light. VengeurR hears him, and now we'll put the chase on. But how's he going to keep in this one? The shield wall is back up. He's still incredibly weak.
And he can't risk getting cornered or ambushed anywhere. If there's a fight where he is not at least the one that scores first blood, kind of like now.
Yeah.
How do you escape? The shield wall's going to disappear now, and VengeurR's going to take the fight. Yeah, GG. Was rightly called there by yourself.
My lord, how does that go to overtime when it was like 9-0 for Clutch? That is just nuts, but I mean, we said it was going to be a rough road for the Clutch, and we saw why for that period of time when VengeurR took control, but before that, that's just magical play. And the way he plays Clutch makes it look like he's playing CPMA or Quake World or something, where it's just so quick, instant switching, incredible play. But once again, we said when Clutch is on the back foot, no matter how good you are, that's how limiting that champion can be as well. And there was just a few moments, again, I'm going to put it down to the experience, but where he made the slight wrong decision or he mistimed. And those small mistakes against a player of VengeurR's caliber added up over the course of 10 minutes.
And not only that, but, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat since the last break apparently, but VengeurR's just tactical aggression. Being in positions where he's forcing a fight knowing that Strongsage is probably going to have a rail out or something similar, force a close range rail that most of the time didn't connect because close range rails are really hard to land. It was just VengeurR's understanding of how to play that matchup, combined with the weapons that Strongsage likes to favor the most. I think that was pure experience showing through that allowed VengeurR to take that the way he did, and the comeback to equalize, equally as impressive as the win itself. That is the night and day effect of why Clutch can work so good and why he's also such a risk, because when he doesn't work out, it can be a nightmare.
Yeah, and I'm sure Wenger's going to feel good about overcoming that, considering how down in the dumps he was in the first few minutes, and it's never fun going against a Clutch, no matter what. But full credit for Strongsage for having the balls to even play it on a map like Vale, and he made us see how powerful it could still be. But we move on. Wenger takes map 1 just, and we do move on to a very different map, very different setting, and very different set of champions now, with Galena versus the BJ.
Actually, we're jumping into this next map, so in a few seconds' time, we'll be swapping back over. And things get a little bit more calm, perhaps. Maybe things are never calm with Strongsage, because we have the third map still. But no, I mean, at least with BJ versus Galena, it's a matchup that we've seen today. You know, we saw it in our very last series even, so not as much unexpected. But the question will come down to, how does Strongsage play this? You know, does Strongsage continue to push forward? You said it yourself earlier, you know, being on Corrupted Keep, you kind of always have to be present in some way. If there is an item, you need to make sure you're somewhat fighting for it. Strongsage has shown us consistently week after week that he's not afraid to fight and to make you fight, which is, you know, a matter of opinion on how well that can work. But with someone like him that can hit the shots that he hits, is he going to bring it straight to Wenger?
Well, this is a map he took off Razy, I believe, last week. So...
He starts off with 164 damage and gets a frag in 10 seconds. Come on, Dan. Come
why
on.
not Strongsage?
I guess that's our question.
It is indeed.
Using the dual wield so early on means that, you know, the likelihood of being able to use it in the next major fight, pretty likely. And the items are going to spawn before the dual wield appears here for Strongsage, but what you do with that item becomes a very different story. Speaking of items, actually, Strongsage on the heavy, knowing that VengeurR is nowhere to be found. And this is kind of where that other side of VengeurR's gameplay can really thrive, I suppose. Conceding items and allowing your opponent to take them, because you slow the game down to such a snail's pace.
Yeah, but this map is very difficult to play that type of style, just
Especially
because of this.
rail.
Yeah, exactly. Without that rail, you have to purely outskill, outthink your opponent. But Wenger did a lot of damage, all things considered, in that situation. A huge rocket coming through there, even catching Strongsage off the back. He does pick up the heavy, but at what cost? He's so weak.
What? Strongsage, as weak as he was, bolts it through that door and secures a frag with barely any stack remaining. The confidence on this man is frightening.
Some of these moves are so confident / dumb that some people don't
that's one of the words for it.
Yeah. And he's still alive somehow. He's still in this game.
If you can hit shots like that, or at least get damage in that much of a concentration, it just changes so much for you. Also, your opponent, you know, it can frustrate your opponent to think. We've all watched Quake streams before. We've seen players lose to that kind of thing and think, they say out loud, "Why did you do that? Why did you push there? How did it work?" It pisses you off. 200 damage and only 1 health left.
What?
Now these totems, I hope Strongsage knows that VengeurR has just restacked almost back up to full off that, because his opponent is not as low as he probably thought he was. Yeah, we could see the frustration there. I don't know if Strongsage knew that VengeurR had 2 totems up there.
No, I agree. And That's why Galena can be a little bit tricky. Oh, now he knows.
Yeah. Can you tell that we were watching that through Strongsage's point of view stream? I think you can. Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Needs to stabilize though. He's been bullied off the map now. VengeurR's perfectly positioned in terms of these major items. Huge stack as well. Obviously nowhere near the other stack, but that is definitely not the use case for Galena on this map. It's all about using it in the combat situation, as we just saw. Strongsage needs to find a way now to get back into this game that does not rely on hitting miracle rockets.
Yeah, that LG from VengeurR was rather frightening. So much damage in such a short space of time. And just like that now, 2-2. Even game right now, but VengeurR just controlling the stronger part of the map, right? That center point. Something that has been keeping Strongsage consistently alive, though, is these unbelievable 100 damage rockets. And there's another one! How is he? Every other rocket he's firing is doing the max possible damage, but VengeurR's rocket! More monumental, as the reward will be a heavy. And this has just been an absolute brawl so far. Oh my god!
Lovely use of the totem from VengeurR, using it at the very last second as I say that. No! 1 second to go. Strongsage picks it up to tie this map 3-3, and it is just a brawl catch-up. Neither one of these players relenting. We said you just got to be present. You got to challenge, and my lord, they both are doing that. Coupled with just compounded 100 rockets.
Pure fearlessness is what we've been seeing for 4.5 minutes. And two players that, you know, you match my pace, I will simply match yours. A delicious rocket jump for VengeurR to get himself out of a scary situation. Another wonderful rocket. The rockets from both of these players so far have just been more than impressive at the moment. VengeurR narrowly in the lead, but with how back and forth they're going, you know, you kind of get the impression this could go down to a final 30-second situation.
I will say that Strongsage's timing has let him down on maps 1 and 2. Right there, standing on the Mega for nearly 10 seconds. Again, he's in position way too early. VengeurR can even back off, re-heal, and get back in time for this next next Mega, should I say. So that is an element he definitely needs to correct.
Well, hopefully for his sake, he'll have at least timing on that Mega now, because probably able to see it after you go down. And he's only narrowly behind so far. So much time to make wonderful things happen. The heavy will surely help him out there, but no other real weapons to do it with. That totem's going to get stepped on. Not much you can do about that, flying way too fast through that teleporter. And actually, because of what was just taken, didn't manage to get himself an LG either. There was no LG.
What? Strongsage has no chill. Some of these decisions he makes are bizarre, but they manage to work out.
And he's going to be putting himself back into position for that heavy, that's for sure. Only one frag behind now. LG's finally been collected. In that entire last fight, he didn't have one. I can only imagine that VengeurR had picked it up prior, and as Strongsage makes chase, it had not respawned yet, but the preemptive dual wield used for the sole purpose of securing the item. It has given him an element of advantage with a stack, but this is that slow play that we know VengeurR can do. Just straight up listening. Where is my opponent going to be? How can I get this opening rocket that just throws off their entire plan? Ooh. I think we felt the wind of those rockets in our ears.
Strongsage is like a bloodhound, though. He just sees his opponent and just absolutely holds W until he reaches them. He just wants to fight non-stop. So VengeurR's making the right decision now. Obviously, he's been bullied off the map a little bit, but he just has to kite this aggression. Look at Strongsage just patrolling the map and just charging at his opponents.
Not every day you see VengeurR caught in a situation like that, point blank, and you do a horizontal rocket jump, not by your own choice. But it has evened things up. With even those defensive rockets, looked a little bit like VengeurR wasn't fully sure on where Strongsage was going to be, but hang on, Strongsage picked up the Mega just a little bit later there. Not quite sure if he missed that or whether he wanted to do it. Quick turnaround suggests otherwise. However, 5-5, and now VengeurR forced to retreat and get back up to a regular stack. Strongsage doing the right thing though, Dan. He's not being so aggressive that he's carelessly going through doors.
Oh, as much as he's got this huge level of aggression to his game, like I said in map 1, what I'm really impressed by is what is just his weapon choice. Constantly switching weapons, constantly pushing in and out of fights to maximize his damage output. And so a lot of this is calculated. Obviously, there are elements of just over-aggression. However, constantly spamming, constantly aware of his opponent's positionings. It is definitely a calculated strategy from Strongsage.
He's taken all of his armor away, though, by trying to push forward there. Speaking of push forward, here comes VengeurR. Minimal damage dealt by Strongsage, and now a not great position is now the next item. Mega will be picked up there by VengeurR.
Bad time to die.
Yeah, one of the worst. Got a little bit of damage, 29 damage.
Nice. That was really nice by VengeurR, actually, just to self-damage to get through that choke point.
Not the first time we've seen him do that, in fact, on this map. I think the Galena and the extra stack certainly might help aid those decisions.
Now it looks nigh on impossible for Strongsage to get back into this. He's got no health, no armor. VengeurR doesn't even need to finish off his opponent. He just needs to manage his position and continually whittle him down. And there you go. Forced to spawn in that red room. Follow-up frag. Really nice calculated play by VengeurR.
Yeah, that frag just before Mega, about a minute ago, just felt like everything, because the pure disadvantage that you're put in after that is too much of a task for many. And Strongsage, the way that VengeurR has been playing these closing moments, just pure denial. Defensive place, staying annoyingly far away too, where there's almost no damage that can really challenge him. But damage that he can use to keep his opponent on the back foot. In these closing 20 seconds, probably going to be much of the same. A defensive totem used just to keep him nice and healthy here, but too little too late. There's no time to make anything work now.
Oh, but another incredibly close game. However, we are on the verge of the first clean sweep against Strongsage this QPL. Once again, it's been both of these maps could have gone either way, but for me, there is definitely that element of inexperience there, the rawness to Strongsage's game, which is such an endearing quality and which definitely helps him get into these positions, but is also limiting his opportunity to finish off these games, because those missed times, map 1 and 2, have cost him frags, which have been the small differences between a win and a loss. So all the ingredients are there. Can he just refine it a step further?
I was pretty much about to mention the same thing. You know, you'd pointed out the issue regarding item timings, and that was something that had put Strongsage in a difficult position more than once. It's the kind of stuff that VengeurR is almost never seen doing ever, and it's, I think, one of the clearest examples of a difference of experience. Like, it may sound so simple to be like, you know, inexperienced players might struggle with timing, but it's the really experienced players that don't even have to think about it. And I think that is the important factor. If you're so used to it that you barely even have to look at the clock sometimes, it's just a clear-cut advantage. If your opponent has any struggles at all regarding that, you're just not going to. And the difference between being early or late for an item can result in a frag and then the item getting picked up. So it's, I think, one of the more punishing mistakes that a player can make in this game. But now Deep Embrace. Potential elements here, Dan, of map 1, where it's going to be the unexpected heavy pick on a map that most people don't. I'm fairly positive I've seen Toxic use Scalebearer on this map before, so it's not the first time I've ever seen this. But that doesn't change the fact that it's still a bit unorthodox.
It's definitely unorthodox, and you have to have practiced it a lot to understand. The most important thing is to understand how far you can push your champion, but particularly a map like Deep as well, is how to use the movement in the right way, particularly through those kind of clipping points and trying to get up to that heavy area. There's small tricks you can do that each champion requires a different dynamic, particularly with a Scalebearer. There's a different process altogether. So you need to have practiced it, because those small differences, once again, they add up. If you miss a jump, you miss positioning, it could cost you a frag or two, which costs you momentum, and those small mistakes really do add up over the course of the map. So I'm expecting Strongsage to absolutely nail it, and that's not the problem. The question is, how can VengeurR maintain or restrain that aggression once again, which he struggled with so much on map 1? We're going to see the same thing, which is the use of that speed to go in and out, to use that rail, to use different weapons to chip away at VengeurR. could actually be a big challenge for Wenger, given that he's a light champion here. So, one in a normal circumstance would expect the Athena to have the upper hand, but given how well Strongsage plays around speed, be interesting.
Well, this warm-up is coming to a close, so we're moments away from finding out how things are actually going to go here. Strongsage versus VengeurR. VengeurR has been able to use that experience pretty much tenfold so far. However, another strange encounter. Two champions that you don't see go head-to-head all that often. Now there's
Look at that.
Come on, that's clean. That was clean. Oh,
That's what
and that was even cleaner. Let's go.
That's what I mean. That's how clean it was. You need to practice that to do it, and you can't practice the follow-up rail. That is just all Strongsage.
Galactic Warlord. Oh,
okay, now he's stuck.
Not enough. Yeah.
Too fat.
No way you can crouch there. I'll still see you. Now, VengeurR has taken a lot of damage in the process, though, and that is something that Strongsage is more than aware of. Looking to get the chase down, and that's where the shotgun definitely hurts. Surprising rail misses, actually, there from VengeurR. Finally manages to hit one, and the one that at least keeps Strongsage behind. Now, with this heavy in play, picks it up just in time, looks to push. 1 health! It doesn't matter how much damage you reduce on that one. I breathe on you and you're gone. This is going to be one of those matches, isn't it?
Strongsage is half playing free-for-all at the moment. He's running around the map with a starting shotgun.
I hope never to encounter a match-made game in free-for-all with Strongsage.
Just doesn't stop.
Oh, that's a monumental rail to land. Not only doing the damage to Strongsage, but forcing him off. Unable to get the heavy. That is a wonderful position for VengeurR now, who has so much more breathing space should a fight break out.
Yeah, that was a perfect frag from VengeurR flying around that corner. Gives him good opportunity now to put a lid on this aggression, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to be the one to set the tempo and try and slow it down. He doesn't want Strongsage running around the map like a madman. He wants to keep him on this low ground where he isn't much of a threat.
VengeurR did wait a little bit of time before taking the heavy. That's going to put a natural delay between the two, and certainly Athena fast enough to pick both items up in the right circumstance. I would assume, to be honest, Scale Bearer as well if he has enough speed. But Strongsage, again, doing the right thing though. Has been forcing a lot of difficult engagements, but isn't relying on that 100% of the way. A lot of the last, maybe even 30 seconds, Strongsage has just been walking around the map. He's been clearly listening for his opponent, and he's being as careful as he can. You look at a lot of this gameplay, and you always assume no care at all, but...
Ooh.
Wow, what an angle.
Just shows you how much work you have to do to actually get this Scale Bearer down. 3 rails. He did pick up the Mega though, but wow, another one coming through. Strongsage low, still on this low ground, actually just can't get up. But he's respecting that now. He's slowing it down himself, saying that. He just realizes he just has to do something. So tries to go on through, but VengeurR is now not missing.
I gotta say, using the ledge jump near where rail is to get an extra increased angle, that's a nice little trick. Athena is just the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to these weird little rail angles that she can pull out of nowhere on maps. No wonder why she's so popular. However, Strongsage, the surprise rail once more. By running around this map and using a lot of this movement, you are going to be considerably noisy compared to a lot of champions, and VengeurR definitely just counting on that, really. Having a clear idea of where Strongsage is, looking for the rail shots. Being careful not to get railed himself, of course, but everything comes with a price. That's what I'm loving about VengeurR's playstyle so far. If Strongsage wants to pick up anything, he's got to pay for it in some way.
Yeah, for sure. But VengeurR is managing this chaos perfectly at the moment. Doesn't feel like Strongsage has seen the upper half of this map for 3 or 4 minutes. As I say that, VengeurR does jump onto him, but he knows his limits. No major items up for a good 10 seconds or so. That gives time for VengeurR to control these items and just use the double jump on that Athena perfectly to continue to bully the Scale Bearer. And whilst there was a plan, it all only lasts until you get smacked in the face with a rail, and that's what VengeurR is doing right here. He's just not missing. 66% rail in this match so far, many of which have been these lovely pixel rails around corners. So he has slowed the tempo, and he's playing the game he wants to play.
You asked the question of what someone can do to turn things around, but it is just VengeurR having such a clear mind for how he wanted to approach this match. Maintaining this high ground has been paramount, because if you're able to deny the chance for Scalebearer to do what he wants to do, and a lot of that is close range encounters where he soaks up a ton of your damage and dishes out more of his own, the range that VengeurR has simply forced on Strongsage here has just statistically not allowed it to happen.
But look how afraid Strongsage is even to go for this Mega now, because he knows that VengeurR is just patrolling above like a predator. And Strongsage very much feels like prey in this situation. Does get it now, but it took him 20-odd seconds to pick up the courage to be able to venture over to that side of the map. He's got himself a rail, got himself a stack. Question is, now what does he do?
The hesitation behind every and any corner is speaking volumes to me. Because VengeurR has been able to just sort of slip by Strongsage so much now that it kind of feels like Strongsage isn't fully confident on where his opponent even is. And even if you manage to get some sort of surprise attack, these light armors have still been kept on the map. VengeurR will have options to retreat if needed. Flying around all over the place, and there is the
it's just
grappling hook, the direct answer, man. I mean, that's it.
You could see how predictable that was. You could feel VengeurR making sure he had enough distance between him and Strongsage that he gets levitated across to the heavy just to keep that grapple in reserve, so he could do exactly that. Just kite the big man. And oh dear. Feels like we are on the verge now of Strongsage getting his first 0-3 of the season, having picked up maps against absolutely everyone. Unfortunate given how well he has played, but just shows the difference in experience to get from being a very, very good player to the level of VengeurR. It's the small details a lot of the time.
One of the dangers of playing these kind of champions that, I don't want to talk really about the champions too much, but with Strongsage it can sometimes feel particularly apparent, right?
What?
Rudely interrupted by that, I think. Not that it's going to really result in anything the way things are currently going, but what I was going to say was Strongsage is the kind of player that has a huge fondness for these larger champions, that at the highest level of play, you look at someone like VengeurR, there are clear-cut strategies that one can use, ways to exploit them. I think it's why they're one extreme or the other. When they work fantastically, they can look so broken. But when those weaknesses start to show their head, particularly when an opponent is behind with one of those champions, someone like VengeurR is so ready to punish everything and everything. It's perhaps perhaps something that Strongsage might one day grow to maybe struggle with is not necessarily the reliance on these larger champions, but you do wonder. Oh God.
No,
that was so weird.
It's definitely, in other games you'd call it a cheese strategy almost, right? But it's just high risk, high reward. These champions have a particular way of just disrupting the normal way of playing Duel, and he's playing around that. But at the same time, if VengeurR and any player can adjust their strategy accordingly, because he does have to adjust. VengeurR can't play the game he wants to play.
Yeah.
Because it's such a disruptive champion. But it can make it look almost useless and like a dumb pick in hindsight. And the same thing would have been said for the clutch pick. If VengeurR got ahead of Steam and got a lead, that match could have ended, 15-20 to 0 for VengeurR, but it didn't. And could have been said here if VengeurR missed, another 20% rail, because he's sitting at 60%, right? If it was down at 50, if not 45, this map would be a lot closer. So there's definitely pros and cons to this. Look, dumb, because he's such a dumb champion. But
I love it.
You're right. There needs to be that balance where it's almost the ace card, not the evergreen card.
Oh, and VengeurR is...
What?
Come on, VengeurR looking for some highlight reels. We have 30 seconds left. That's 30 seconds to get frags into the top 10 plays. Let's go.
Well, at least Strongsage is getting his name in the book some way, and that's being bait at the moment. But no, it was a really, really fun series. This one obviously ended up petering out a couple of minutes ago, but apart from that, apart from the last few minutes of this map, it's been a great series, and I'm sure Vengeur's breathing a sigh of relief. He won this 3-0, if not won it at all, because again, it could have been 2-1 Strongsage on another day.
Strongsage has proven to consistently be the kind of player that can pull off upsets and take people by surprise. One of the elements that we can see from VengeurR there, the sort of just the stone-faced concentration. I get the impression that VengeurR showed Strongsage a lot of respect in this series, because even as someone, VengeurR ain't no new player by any stretch of the imagination, but VengeurR got into this community young, as one of the young blood players. And I feel like surely there has to be, when you go up against people and you're one of the younger players, there's always people underestimating you just because you're one of the new generation, as it were. So, respect can breed respect. And in this regard, VengeurR clearly showed a ton of it to Strongsage, but at the same time, enough to develop strategies versus every matchup. Every map had a slightly different playstyle, knowing roughly that Strongsage was going to look to be aggressive because his champions just echoed that strategy, but being ready to turn things around when you finally got a foot in the door. VengeurR, that first map, was looking rough, extremely rough, but kept himself rock solid. The moment he got that turnaround, that comeback looked just as dominant, if not more so. Corrupted Keep, it just came down to those fundamentals. And then Deep Embrace, kind of similar to Veil, but with a better start for VengeurR. I know this matchup. I kind of know how you're going to play here, and I know what I have to do, and he just executed it flawlessly anyway. So, rather perfect display from VengeurR, I think.
I agree, yeah. And if those basics improve, Strongsage will take more and more maps. And as we said, he's taken maps off everybody except for VengeurR. And the last map, we did worry about the pick of the Scale Bearer. Like, there's definitely that trap card where it can cause chaos, but VengeurR with the Athena just had too much maneuverability, too much experience, and ultimately too much mechanics for Strongsage to even think about getting into that game, and spent most of his time running around in circles by the small armors on the ground. So not the best place to be. But full credit to VengeurR. He did what you have to do. Best series of the day so far. Let's hope it continues.
Well, a moment's way from finding out the answer for that question. We're going to go away for a few minutes. When we come back, Quake Pro League will continue.